Another week, another bag of goodies. Let me show you what I got. Hi, this is James from Read More Comics, and you can see my dog right behind her. That's Gemma. It's another new comic book day. I went to my LCS Buy Me Toys in beautiful Mishawaka, Indiana, grab my comic books. So I wanted to make a video to show what I got. Before we go too farther, if you like my content, if you enjoy listening to me ramble on about comic books, please do like, share, subscribe. Hit the bell up in the corner so you get notifications anytime I post new content. So here we go. This is kind of a modest week. What I've noticed lately, a lot of series I've been following, and I'm saying lately, this has been like the last 6 months. A lot of series have been dropping off, especially Marvel stuff. I had several Star Wars books, Star Wars titles over to Marvel. All of those have been dropping off. And then we've had the end of some events like DCKO, some other indie books where it was just kind of a mini series or maxi series, and it's done. And so what I'm finding is I've been budgeting for years $200 a month on comic books, and I want to be fair, not all of that was going to comics, but that's what I put it aside. That was my my play money, whatever you want to label it. And when I track it in League of Comic Book Geeks, their app, because it kind of projects how much it would cost week to week, and keep in mind, one of the things that I found, it's just easier to say I'm subbing a book and not like choosing the titles or choosing the covers, and like the cardstock DC covers cost $1 more and blah, 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 blah. My expenditures for comic books have been coming down. And unless I have a trade or a hardcover book coming out, it's usually about somewhere between $30 and $40 or less. Like next week is less than 30, and that's not uncommon. So anyway, let's get into it. First up, and this, I swapped out my cover. I'd forgotten to pre-order my book. I've mentioned before my LCSU's Comics Hub, and you can only subscribe to the A cover. You can't sub alternate covers like you could, or you can't pre-order without pre-ordering independently. You can't say always pull the B covers or something like that for me. So I had subbed the A cover for this book. I didn't want to keep it, so I swapped it out, and I don't feel bad about my LCS ordering an extra book because I spent more money at their shop doing this. So we have Absolute Superman issue number 19. This is not the first cover appearance. This is the second cover appearance of Absolute Shazam, which that is just a killer cover, in my opinion. This is King Shazam. Yeah, King Shazam, but his background is Black Adam, and he looks like Black Adam. What I do like about this, though, is how in the Absolute books, they're kind of crossing over different Rogues Gallery characters. So like Ra's al Ghul was against Absolute Superman, which is kind of cool, rather than Batman. And here we have, Shazam, or Black Adam, which would not be a Superman villain. But here we have King Shazam facing off against Superman, which will be a cool appearance. And last issue, I haven't read it. Awesome backstory on this guy. Then this is a one-shot by Cody Ziegler. This is Astonishing Miles Morales, Spider-Man, The Art of the Thwip. So I pulled the A cover on this because I thought it was better than the variant. This is, so Cody Ziegler, while he was doing his Miles Morales run, which I think is one of the best Miles Morales runs in a long time. Go back, read the trades. He was doing a webcomic off to the side to kind of, like, this is fill in some of the story where it's just normal stuff. And I think that's something that's missing, especially with street level characters like Batman, Spider-Man. It's like, where's the normal stuff? Why are we dealing with bigger and bigger and bigger things? I play Magic. We talk about power creep. I think that's a problem in superhero comics. There's that power creep where it's like, well, we can't have normal street level stuff anymore. We have to have something more and then something more. And because 20 years ago they did something, we have to have something more. Uh, so this is supposed to be just a one shot. It's collecting the 6 issues or of the webcomic, I think. I don't know what service it's on, where Miles Morales is just dealing with normal stuff, which I think that's going to be an awesome story. I'm looking forward to this. We have issue number 9 of Matt Fraction's Batman. It's interesting. So Jorge Jimenez, which had been doing most of the interiors, is not doing this. This is Ryan Sook, which he does good art. So this has been this really, the last couple issues have been a low-key crossover between Batman and Poison Ivy. So if you've been pulling the Batman book, go back to the last 2 issues of Poison Ivy, because there's some stuff going on really low key. This is not like a major event. This is not like some big crossover where you have to get all these different issues. It's just 2 writers collaborating a little bit because their characters are in the same city dealing with similar, background characters. So in Poison Ivy, Pamela Isley's now the mayor of Gotham. They kind of glossed over how that happened. I think that's going to come back. That's what I think, because G. Willow Wilson's been telling a really good Poison Ivy story. And then last issue, she had a meeting with, I'm going to remember it here in a moment. It's the guy who's been alive for like 10,000 years in DC Comics. I can totally picture him. Anyway, he's the commissioner, the police commissioner, because he bribed his way into it. And he wants to get rid of Batman, and he has trained this elite police force to do that. Now, all of this is tropey. This is stuff that's been done before, like Tynion did it, like in his last run, right? But Matt Fraction has been telling a really clever story, and it is low-key one of the best Batman stories since some of Scott Snyder's stuff, the beginning of DC New 52. I can almost picture that. I'll put his name right here. Anyway, over in Poison Ivy's title, Poison Ivy had a meeting with this guy. They talked about their mutual problem with Batman, which Poison Ivy has been kind of flirting with being kind of an anti-hero. Like, she's not really a bad guy, but is she a good guy? And the last issue of Poison Ivy is total psychopath. I definitely recommend it. Or a sociopath. That's a better label. Not a psychopath. I'm still drawing a total blank on his name. Anyway, so this is starting to boil over in Batman now. So I've been looking forward to this. We have issue number 10 of Fantastic Four with the Invincible Woman. This is an alternate worlds version of the Invisible Woman and what happens when she goes off the deep end and like really flexes her power. This has been kind of new because in Ryan North's previous volume, before One World Under Doom, each issue was kind of a standalone story on purpose, and now we're getting arcs. Here we are in issue 5 of a story, which is okay. I appreciate when writers take risks and try something new. This story's been pretty good. I did like the one-shot Being a Science Nerd stories better, but it's still a solid Fantastic Four volume. So, and we're only on issue 10, so that's 2 trades. Then we have, this is Infinity Roar, issue number, I need to look on the back because there's no, this is the cosmic variant. This is issue number 4. This is the issue I would have pre-ordered, but I forgot to. But they had enough on the shelf. So, check that out. Thanos versus the Fire Demon Rodan. They had one with Galactus on it. Was really cool. So, I haven't gotten to read this yet. And I'm going to be making a video later in the week, posting it over the weekend, talking about how I've revised my read pile, which is a short box. That's out where I store everything in, and how that's been going the last 5 weeks. And I've had a lot of success with it, but I made a change. So that'll be a video this weekend. But I haven't gotten to this yet. The previous books, I think the Toho Godzilla crossover with Marvel has been better than DC's crossover the last 2 years with the multiverse, the MonsterVerse Godzilla. So this has been really good, and I just thought this cover was great. I mean, look at Thanos. He is batting up right there. We were just talking about Poison Ivy. We have Poison Ivy issue number 44. This is the Nobovich cover. Kind of a classic Poison Ivy cover. They've had this one. I don't remember who the artist has been. I'll look it up. I'll put it right down there. Where it's showing kind of Poison Ivy as a mayor, kind of in business settings, like in her office and stuff like that. Those have been really kind of sweet covers. This has been an awesome book. And I think I've said this the last 3 months. We're at 44 issues for a Poison Ivy cover. Title, sorry. This is new this week. This is going to be a series of one-shots. This is the 10th anniversary of Rogue One, which is crazy. It's hands down my favorite Star Wars movie. And so for each of the characters in it, Marvel is turning out a one-shot, just telling a one-shot story about their background. So this month's was Cassian Andor. And this is the A cover. And all the A covers is going to have a similar negative space and style and color choices. So I went ahead and pre-ordered the other three that have been solicited so far. And then finally, we have the Savage Sword of Conan, issue number 14, with a pretty sweet cover by Doug Braithwaite. So this is supposed to connect to the free comic book day book. Let me see if I got it right here. Nope. Nope. Okay, I don't know where I put it. It's just too far away. Wait, I think it's right. Nope, that's not it. I'm sorry. I have probably like most collectors, I have several stacks of books over here that need to be processed, which means really they either need to be filed or they're putting in a long box so I can sell them. Anyway, somewhere over there is the free comic book day issue of Conan the Barbarian. It is, I don't remember the subtext, but Jim Zub, who wrote this right here, he is winding up for another event. And what's kind of cool in Conan, what they've been doing is they've been doing these event stories that are happening, except for the first one, they've been happening outside of the mainline Conan book. So you can pull the mainline Conan book and you're not going to have to worry about, well, getting all these crossovers or anything like that. But on the side, Jim Zub is really flexing his knowledge of Robert E. Howard and the types of stories he would tell, especially the kind of Cthulhu-esque, H.P. Lovecraftian type stories with time travel and sorcery and all that. So several of his mini stories, I've been catching up with Scourge of the Serpent, which is kind of this ballpark. So it started in the free comic book day book, which was really a prologue. If you don't read it, and I think on social media it said it's going to be available online, but if you don't read it, it's okay. It's just kind of setting the stage. You know, you don't really know anything at the end of the issue. I'll do a review of it later in this week. This is supposed to be the first book that really gets into it. And then, is it Conan? No, it's not. There's supposed to be a mini-series, I think. So that mini-series is supposed to come later in the fall. So looking forward to that. So those are my polls. I got a lot of different books here. Tell me what you think. Leave me a comment down below. What do you think of the different books I pulled? Is there something that struck your attention? I'm really kind of looking forward to reading this Spider-Man book. Batman has been solid, okay? Arguably better than Absolute Batman right here. But it's like a regular Batman title. So if you're reading Absolute Batman and you haven't dipped your toes in regular Batman, very different energy, okay? Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. What you get this week? Is there anything that I missed that you think I should get? I appreciate you hanging out, listening to me ramble on about comic books. If you like what you hear, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell when I post new content. Don't forget, friends, life is so much better when we read more comics.